The immature boyfriend wants to stop paying for my university just because I told him I preferred going to a party with my ex instead of going to his mom's boring birthday. How childish. I've always believed that a relationship is like a high-stakes investment, and for the past 2 years, Liam has been doing the absolute bare minimum by covering my marketing degree. It's not about the money, obviously, because a high-value woman like me deserves to have her path cleared so she can focus on being her best self. We met back when he was desperate to prove he could handle someone with my energy, and honestly, letting him invest in my education was my way of giving him a purpose in this relationship. He's always been the steady, quiet type, which I usually find grounding, but lately, I've felt like he was getting a bit too comfortable. A woman needs to know that her partner isn't just there for the easy parts, but that he's willing to earn his place by my side every single day. Things were going smoothly until yesterday when Liam decided to invite me to his mother's 60th birthday dinner as if it were some grand gala I should be honored to attend. I've met his mother before, and while she's sweet in that very beige, repetitive way, her idea of a wild night is discussing the price of yarn or sharing recipes for bland casseroles. The mere thought of sitting there for 4 hours, nodding at stories I've heard a dozen times, felt like a personal insult to my time and vibrance. It was a complete napfest waiting to happen, and honestly, I expected Liam to realize that such an environment is practically suffocating for someone like me. I need stimulation, excitement, and a partner who understands that my presence is a privilege, not a given for every dusty family milestone. By some stroke of absolute fate, my ex-boyfriend, Jake, texted me that same afternoon with an invitation to a massive rooftop party on the very same night as the birthday dinner. Jake has always been the life of the party, and a rooftop event is exactly the kind of atmosphere where I belong, surrounded by music and people who actually appreciate my aesthetic. The timing was too perfect to be a coincidence, and I realized this was the ultimate opportunity to see if Liam was truly the secure, masculine man he claims to be. A relationship without tests is just a stagnant pool, and I needed to know if Liam's love was rooted in genuine security or just a desire to control my schedule. If he truly loved me and felt confident in what we have, he would want me to be happy and thriving, even if it meant he had to do his family duty solo for one night. I didn't beat around the bush. I sat Liam down and told him straight up that I was going to the party with Jake because it sounded like way more fun than a boring birthday dinner. I explained it very clearly. If you truly love me and are secure in our relationship, you'll be happy I'm having fun while you handle your mom's thing. It was a beautiful, logic-driven approach designed to help him grow as a partner, yet he just stared at me with this blank, stunned expression. To make sure he understood the weight of the situation, I had my tuition receipt tucked right into my textbook on the coffee table between us. It was a subtle, sophisticated reminder of the investment he's protecting and the future we are supposedly building together. Instead of rising to the occasion and showing me the confidence of a leader, Liam started acting like a complete toddler, getting all quiet and hurt over nothing. He began muttering under his breath about commitment and respect, as if my desire to have a single night of joy was a personal attack on his entire lineage. It was honestly embarrassing to watch a grown man pout because he couldn't handle the idea of me being independent for a few hours. I tried to explain that my happiness should be his priority, but he was too busy drowning in his own insecurity to see the bigger picture. He couldn't even look me in the eye, which just goes to show how much more work he needs to do on his emotional intelligence. The situation turned absolutely toxic when he finally spoke up and had the nerve to suggest that if I wasn't committed to his family, he wasn't committed to my expenses. I was floored by the sheer audacity of using my education as a weapon just because his feelings were a little bruised by a simple party invite. It's the definition of emotional blackmail, trying to hold my future hostage because he's too immature to handle a high-value woman with social options. I didn't back down, though, because giving in to that kind of manipulation would only teach him that he can buy my obedience. A real man provides because it's his nature, not because he's checking off a list of chores he wants his girlfriend to perform. He spent the rest of the evening moping around the apartment, making these heavy sighs every time he walked past me as if he wanted me to beg for his forgiveness. I stayed completely calm and composed because I knew I was in the right, and honestly, his reaction just proved that the test was necessary. If he's going to crumble this easily over a rooftop party, how is he going to handle real-life challenges down the road? I'm essentially doing him a favor by exposing these cracks in his personality now before things get even more serious. He thinks he's the victim, but I'm the one dealing with a partner who doesn't understand the basic dynamics of a modern, empowered relationship. It's incredibly disappointing that he would even mention the tuition money, considering I've given him 2 years of my life and my exclusive attention. My degree in marketing is an asset to both of us, and his attempt to link it to a birthday dinner is just logically flawed and petty. He's acting as if I'm some sort of employee he can dock pay from if I don't show up to the company picnic, which is just insulting. I've always been clear about my standards, and if he can't meet them without throwing a financial tantrum, then he clearly isn't the man I thought he was. I'm standing my ground because my self-respect isn't for sale, not even for the price of a semester's credits. As the night went on, the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife, but I refused to let his bad vibes ruin my mood for the upcoming party. I started picking out my outfit right in front of him, choosing something that shouted, unbothered and iconic, just to see if he'd snap out of his funk. He didn't say a word, just kept staring at some sports game on the TV as if his entire world had ended because I chose music over a casserole. It's truly tragic when a man allows his ego to get in the way of a woman's growth, and I'm just glad I caught this side of him now. He's trying to play the martyr, but everyone can see that he's just being a controlling, sensitive child. The most hilarious part is that he actually thinks his hurt feelings carry more weight than my career and my social life combined. He's so wrapped up in this idea of his family duty that he's completely lost sight of the fact that he has a vibrant, independent woman right in front of him. I'm not some porcelain doll he can keep on a shelf and only take out when his mom wants to see a pretty face at the dinner table. If he wants a submissive girl who has no past and no social life, he should go find someone as dull as his mother's knitting circle. I'm a queen, and I expect to be treated like one, regardless of whose birthday it is or who is throwing the party. I ended the night by reminding him that a secure partner is the most attractive thing a man can be, and his current behavior was the exact opposite of that. He didn't respond, just went to bed early like a grumpy teenager who got his phone taken away, leaving me to prepare for my night out in peace. I feel lighter already, knowing that I'm holding him accountable for his actions and refusing to let his financial threats move me. If he thinks he can scare me into attending a boring dinner, he has another thing coming, because I don't negotiate with emotional terrorists. This is my life, my education, and my choice, and he's just going to have to learn how to keep up or get out of the way. Main story comments. Anonymous user 1 says, "You're literally asking this man to pay for your life while you go out and party with your ex? That is the most entitled, delusional thing I've ever heard." Liam isn't childish, he's finally waking up to the fact that he's being used as an ATM. OP's reply, "It's clear you have very low standards and don't understand the concept of feminine tests or what it takes to maintain a high-value relationship. A man who is secure in his masculinity doesn't feel threatened by an ex, he feels proud that he's the one providing the life his woman enjoys." Anonymous user 2 says, "Liam is so childish for wanting to save his money instead of spending it on someone who doesn't even respect his family. If I were him, I'd take that tuition money and go on a vacation." OP's reply, "Thank you for proving my point. Love isn't a transaction where you trade respect for bills, it's a tribute that a man pays to the woman who graces his life with her presence. If Liam can't handle that, he's simply not ready for a woman of my caliber." Update 1. It's been 3 days since my last update, and I can officially say that the rooftop party was exactly what I needed, even if the actual experience was a bit mid. I went with Jake, and while he's still as hot as ever, he spent the entire night rambling about his new gym routine and how many grams of protein he gets from crickets or something equally exhausting. Honestly, I barely listened to him because I was too busy making sure my digital presence was flawless for the world and Liam to see. I must have posted 20 stories of us laughing, clinking glasses against the city skyline, and looking like the ultimate power couple of the night. I wanted Liam to see that I'm a completely independent woman who can't be controlled by a checkbook or a boring family obligation, and my feed was looking absolutely fire. Despite my effort to keep him included in my life through social media, Liam didn't like a single one of my photos or stories, which is just incredibly petty. He didn't even have the decency to text me goodnight, or ask if I got home safe, which is basic boyfriend etiquette regardless of whatever mood he's in. When I finally walked through the door, he was sprawled on the couch with his eyes glued to his phone, and he didn't even look up to acknowledge that I had returned. It was like he was trying to win a gold medal in the silent treatment Olympics, and frankly, it was beyond exhausting to deal with such immaturity after a long night out. I looked amazing, I smelled like expensive perfume, and he treated me like I was a ghost haunting his living room. He's still stuck on this ridiculous idea that he missed me at his mom's birthday, as if the entire event crumbled to dust because I wasn't there to hear about her garden. I tried to initiate a mature conversation, but he just gave me these one-word answers that were clearly designed to make me feel guilty. I'm not a mind reader, and I'm certainly not going to apologize for choosing a vibrant social life over a stagnant family dinner. It's been 3 days of this cold shoulder routine, and it's honestly starting to affect my focus on my studies, which is entirely his fault for creating such a hostile environment. He's making our home feel like a library with no books, just a lot of judging silence and unwashed coffee mugs. I finally snapped a little and told him that he had officially failed the test I set for him by being moody instead of being a secure, supportive partner. A real man would have asked me how the party was and been glad that I had a chance to blow off some steam before my midterms. Instead, he's acting like I betrayed the crown or something, all because I didn't want to spend my Saturday night eating dry cake with people 3 times my age. I explained to him that his reaction is the only toxic thing happening here, as he's trying to punish me for being my own person. He just looked at me with this exhausted expression and said nothing, which is just a classic deflection tactic for people who know they're wrong. It's truly fascinating how men will claim they want an independent, cool girlfriend but then throw a fit the moment she actually does something independent. He's trying to frame this as a respected issue, but we all know it's really about his own insecurities regarding Jake and the fact that he can't dictate my every move. If he were confident in what he provides, the tuition, the apartment, the stability, he wouldn't feel the need to pout when I spend time with someone else. I'm trying to help him build that confidence, but he's fighting me every step of the way with this silent treatment nonsense. It's like trying to coach a toddler through a chess match. He just wants to flip the board because he's losing. I've decided to stay completely unbothered, though, because I know that my logic is sound and my intentions were pure. I'm documenting everything so he can see later how ridiculous he's being, but for now, I'm just focusing on myself and my marketing for the modern age class. He's still paying the bills, so clearly, his little threat was just hot air meant to scare me into submission, which obviously didn't work. I'm not a woman who can be intimidated by financial posturing, and the fact that he even tried just shows how little he knows me. I'll give him a few more days to cool off, but I'm definitely not the one who's going to break the silence first. The apartment is so quiet that I can literally hear his heavy breathing from across the room, which is just another way he's trying to take up space with his negativity. I've started playing my music a little louder and taking longer showers just to remind him that I'm still here and I'm still thriving. He needs to realize that his silence doesn't hurt me, it just makes him look weak and incapable of handling a real conversation. I'm honestly embarrassed for him at this point, acting like a jilted lover in a Victorian novel because his girlfriend went to a party. It would be funny if it wasn't so incredibly annoying and disruptive to my daily routine. I even tried to show him one of the funny videos Jake took at the party, thinking it might lighten the mood, but he just stood up and walked into the bedroom without a word. The level of disrespect is staggering, and I'm starting to wonder if he even deserves to be part of the future I'm creating for myself. I'm a high-value woman with a bright career ahead of me, and I need a partner who can keep up with that, not someone who drags me down with his emotional baggage. He's failing every single benchmark I've set for a long-term partner, and yet he thinks he's the one who should be making demands. It's almost delusional on his part, honestly. I know he'll eventually come around because he's always been obsessed with me, and he knows he won't find anyone else who challenges him like I do. He just needs to get through this little tantrum and realize that he's lucky I'm even giving him the chance to fix this. I'm being incredibly patient, considering how much he's been acting out, and I hope he appreciates the grace I'm showing him. Most women would have left by now, but I believe in growth, even for someone as emotionally stunted as Liam currently is. He just needs to see that I'm the prize, and the prize doesn't go to boring birthday dinners if she doesn't want to. Update 1 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, wait, so the tuition bill is due in a few days, right? You're acting real bold for someone whose entire future is currently being funded by the guy you're ignoring. Are you even prepared for what happens if he actually stops paying? OP's reply, I'm not worried in the slightest. Liam always folds when he realizes he's about to lose me. He's addicted to the test, even if he doesn't realize it yet. He knows that stopping the payments would be the end of us, and he's far too invested to let that happen over a little party. Anonymous user 2 says, you literally took your ex to a party to attest to your boyfriend and now you're mad he's quiet? This isn't psychological growth, it's just straight up toxicity. You're playing with your own future for some TikTok-style drama. OP's reply, it's called emotional stretching. If a relationship doesn't face friction, it doesn't grow. I'm teaching Liam how to be a secure man, and sometimes the lesson requires a bit of discomfort. If you can't see the genius in that, that's on you. Update 2. It's been 1 week since my last update, and things have taken a remarkably weird and frankly unprofessional turn in this household. I went to log into my student portal this morning to check my midterms because despite the drama, I am still a dedicated student and there it was, a giant payment pending red banner across my screen. Usually, Liam has the payment handled at least 5 days early because he knows how much I hate seeing those stress-inducing notifications. I assumed it was just a technical glitch or that his autopay had a hiccup, so I walked into the kitchen where he was making coffee and showed him the screen. I was fully expecting an apology for his forgetfulness, and a quick confirmation that he'd fix it right then and there. Instead of the remorseful boyfriend I expected, Liam just glanced at my phone, shrugged his shoulders, and went back to stirring his coffee as if I had just shown him a picture of a cat. He actually had the audacity to say, "I thought you and Jake could figure it out, since he's the one getting your time lately." I honestly had to laugh because he sounded so incredibly petty and small-minded in that moment. It's like he's trying to rewrite the rules of our relationship based on a single Saturday night, which is just not how adult commitments work. I told him that his behavior was embarrassing and that using my future as a bargaining chip was the lowest form of manipulation I've ever witnessed. I sat him down and gave him a clear ultimatum: if he doesn't have that tuition paid by Friday, it will be the ultimate proof that he never truly loved me for who I am. It would prove that he was just buying my company and my loyalty like I was some sort of subscription service he could cancel when he felt moody. A real man doesn't use a woman's education as a weapon, and the fact that he's even considering it shows a total lack of character on his part. I'm standing my ground on this because I refuse to be bullied into submission by someone who is supposed to be my biggest supporter. He's trying to play chicken with my career, but he doesn't realize that I'm the one with the higher ground here. He just sat there listening to me with this weird, calm smirk that I've never seen on him before, which was honestly quite creepy. He didn't even try to argue or defend himself. He just finished his coffee and walked out the door to work without saying another word. It's like he's living in some alternate reality where he thinks he has the power to dictate my life just because he handles the bills. I'm the one doing the hard work of studying and preparing for a career that will benefit our collective image, so the least he can do is fulfill his role as the provider. He's acting as if he's doing me some massive favor, rather than just doing what a partner in a high-value relationship is supposed to do. The deadline is Friday, and I'm not sweating it because I know Liam's patterns better than he knows himself. He's currently in his rebellion phase, where he tries to act tough to prove a point, but he'll eventually realize that losing me is a much higher price than a few $1,000s in tuition. I've been using this time to manifest the money through his eventual guilt, focusing my energy on the fact that he will come to his senses before the portal locks me out. I've even started leaving brochures for expensive master's programs around the house just to remind him of the level of ambition he's currently stalling. He needs to see the big picture, and I'm the only one here with the vision to show it to him. It's actually quite sad to see him stoop this low, trying to hit me where it hurts just because his ego couldn't handle a rooftop party. It just goes to show how fragile the male ego really is when it's confronted with a woman who knows her worth and refuses to settle for boring as a lifestyle choice. I'm not going to beg him, and I'm certainly not going to apologize for having a social life that includes people from my past. Jake is just a friend now, and if Liam can't handle that, then he's the one with the problem, not me. I'm staying focused on my goals and my aesthetic, because at the end of the day, my brand is more important than his little temper tantrum. I've even suggested that he should see a therapist to talk about these control issues he's developed, but he just ignored that too. It's like talking to a brick wall that pays rent, unresponsive and increasingly annoying to be around. I've been spending more time at the library lately just to avoid his toxic vibes, and honestly, the silence there is much more productive than the silence at home. He thinks he's teaching me a lesson, but all he's doing is showing me that he's not the reliable provider I need. I deserve a man who sees my education as an investment in us, not a leash he can pull whenever he feels neglected. Friday is coming up fast, but I'm keeping my head high and my energy positive, because I know the universe and Liam's bank account will provide. I've already planned my outfit for the day the payment goes through, something sophisticated and grateful, to reward him for finally doing the right thing. He just needs that final push to realize that his protest is only hurting himself in the long run. If he ruins my semester, he ruins our future, and I don't think he's quite ready to face the consequences of that kind of failure. He's a good guy at heart. He's just currently blinded by his own pettiness and that advice I'm sure he's getting from his equally dull friends. I'm also considering taking a short trip this weekend just to give him some space to really feel my absence and reflect on his choices. Maybe if he's alone in this apartment with his savings, he'll realize that money is a very poor substitute for a woman like me. He needs to feel the weight of what he's risking before he'll truly appreciate what he has. It's all part of the larger growth process I'm guiding him through, even if it feels a bit chaotic right now. A little chaos is necessary for a breakthrough, and I'm confident that by Saturday morning, that red banner will be a thing of the past. Update 2 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, standing your ground while someone else pays for the literal ground you're standing on is peak comedy. You're about to get a very expensive lesson in how the real world works, Chloe. Liam isn't a petty, he's just done being your sugar daddy. OP's reply, you clearly have a broke-minded, misogynistic view of relationships. In a high-value dynamic, the man provides the foundation so the woman can build the empire. If you think that's being a sugar daddy, you've obviously never been in a relationship with actual standards. Anonymous user 2 says, you realize the university doesn't care about your loyalty tests, right? If that bill isn't paid by Friday, they will drop your classes and you'll lose your enrollment. Manifesting money won't stop the registrar's office from hitting the delete button. OP's reply, I've already manifested the outcome I want. Liam's guilt will outweigh his ego by Friday morning. I've seen it happen 100 times. The universe doesn't operate on your cynical timeline, and neither do I. Update 3. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I am absolutely vibrating with rage at the sheer level of betrayal I've just experienced. The Friday deadline passed, and despite my perfectly logical ultimatum, the red banner stayed on my portal until it transformed into a cold, clinical notification. I've been administratively withdrawn from 2 of my core marketing classes, the ones I actually liked, because the payment window has closed. I was in total shock. I literally stood in the middle of the living room and threw a fit, screaming at Liam for ruining my life over a simple, harmless party. He just sat there on the sofa, looking at me with this blank, dead-eyed expression that made my skin crawl. I tried to be the bigger person and offered him a way out of the mess he created, suggesting a make-up dinner with his mom if he paid the late fee and the next installment immediately. I was basically handing him a peace treaty on a silver platter, giving him the chance to fix his mistake and get the respect he's been whining about. I even told him I'd wear that hideous floral dress his sister gave me, just to show I was willing to compromise for the sake of our bond. Instead of being grateful for my generosity, he just stood up, looked me dead in the eye, and said the most chilling thing I've ever heard. The test is over, Chloe. You won. You're free from my boring family and my childish rules. And I'm free from your bills. I couldn't believe my ears. He was actually trying to turn my own language against me as if he were some kind of mastermind. He started packing a bag right then and there, throwing his clothes into a suitcase with this terrifyingly calm efficiency that I've never seen from him. I followed him around the room, explaining that he was overreacting and that couples go through these things to get stronger, but he wouldn't even respond. He's staying at a friend's house now, leaving me alone in this apartment that he's probably going to stop paying for next. He's actually trying to dump me and destroy my career in one fell swoop, all out of some misplaced sense of spite. The irony of the situation is that he's the one being manipulative by actually leaving when things got real. He knows I'm in the middle of my degree and that I depend on his support, and withdrawing that support now is just cruel and unusual punishment. I was just trying to improve our relationship by testing his limits and ensuring he was a secure partner, and he responded by blowing up our entire lives. It's so incredibly fragile of him to let a rooftop party with Jake, who, by the way, was a total bore, lead to the end of a 2-year investment. He's throwing away a high-value woman because his feelings were a little hurt by a social choice I made. I tried calling him a dozen times, but he's blocked my number, which is just another level of childishness I didn't think he was capable of. I even reached out to Jake to see if he could help me out with a loan for the classes, considering he was the one I went to the party with. I figured since we're such good friends and he's always bragging about his gains, he'd be happy to support a woman in need. But guess what? Jake blocked me too. Apparently, asking for a little financial help for my education is too much drama for him, which just goes to show that men are all the same when things get even slightly complicated. So now I'm sitting here in a half-empty apartment, administratively withdrawn from my classes, with 2 men who have completely failed the most basic tests of loyalty. It's like the world has gone mad and decided that my future is just a game they can stop playing whenever they get bored. I'm the victim here, and yet everyone is acting like I'm the one who did something wrong just for being honest about my preferences. Liam is trying to play the freedom card, but we all know he's just scared of a woman who actually challenges him to be better. He's running away because he knows he can't win an argument against someone with my level of clarity and self-worth. I even sent a long email to his mother, explaining how her son is ruining my career and asking her to talk some sense into him. I thought she'd understand woman to woman, but she hasn't replied either, which just proves the whole family is as dull and cold as I suspected. They're all ganging up on me because I refuse to be a submissive little mouse at their boring dinner parties. It's a total conspiracy of mediocrity trying to bring down someone who actually has ambition and a social life. I'm honestly better off without them, but the timing is just so incredibly unfair given my academic schedule. I'm currently looking into other ways to get the money, but it's hard when your primary investor decided to go on a freedom strike. I've started a GoFundMe, but people are being so judgmental in the comments, asking why I can't just get a job or take out a loan like a normal person. They don't understand that a woman like me isn't meant for the grind. I'm meant for the spotlight and the strategy, not for some entry-level position that will kill my vibe. Liam was supposed to be my partner in this, and his abandonment is a direct violation of the unspoken contract we had when we started this journey. He's trying to leave me in the dust, but I'm going to find a way to rise above this, even if it means taking him to court for emotional distress. He thinks he's won some kind of victory by walking out, but he's really just shown his true colors as a quitter. A real man stays and fights for the relationship, even when it's hard, even when he's being tested. He's choosing the easy way out because he's too weak to handle a woman who doesn't just nod and smile at everything he says. I'm staying in the apartment for now, and I've changed the locks just in case he thinks he can come back and get the rest of his stuff without an apology. If he wants his things, he's going to have to pay the late fee on my classes first, because I'm not letting him walk away without fulfilling his obligations. Update 3 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, "Congratulations to Liam for finally passing the common sense test. He's officially free from the bills, the drama, and the ex-party stories. This is the best update I've read all year." OP's reply, "You sound incredibly bitter. Liam isn't free, he's just scared of my power and my standards. He'll be back the moment he realizes that a common sense is just a boring excuse for a mediocre life without a woman like me." Anonymous user 2 says, "So wait, Jake blocked you too? I guess your loyalty test backfired on both ends. Is the rooftop party still looking like a good idea now that you're dropped from your classes and single?" OP's reply, "Jake is just as fragile as Liam. He couldn't handle the responsibility of a real friendship when it required more than just taking pictures for Instagram. The party was an iconic moment, and I don't regret it. I only regret being surrounded by men who don't know how to support a queen." Update 4. It's been 1 month since my last update, and the world is officially a darker, more spiteful place than I ever imagined. I'm officially out for the semester because I couldn't come up with the money in time, and the university was completely heartless about my personal situation. My parents, who I thought would have my back, are being absolutely furious and refuse to give me a single cent. They actually had the nerve to say that I blew a good thing, and that Liam was the best thing that ever happened to me, which is just a total betrayal of their own daughter. It's like everyone has collectively decided to blame me for wanting a little bit of excitement and a partner who isn't a total doormat. Liam has blocked me on every single platform, which is so incredibly immature for a man in his late 20s. I can't even see his face unless I look at his sister's social media, which I unfortunately did yesterday. She posted a picture from a family brunch, and there was Liam, looking all happy and refreshed, sitting next to some girl I don't even know. This girl was actually wearing a vintage dress that his mom had promised to give me once I graduated, which is the ultimate slap in the face. It's clear he's just trying to replace me with some basic, submissive girl who probably loves boring dinners and has never even heard of a rooftop party. It's pathetic how quickly men will settle for less just to avoid being challenged. I actually went to his new place. I had to follow a friend of his to find it to explain that I was just trying to make our bond stronger by testing his limits. I stood outside his door for 20 minutes, calling out that it was all a misunderstanding and that we could still save our future if he just paid for the next semester. He wouldn't even open the door, he just sent a single text that said, "Hope the party was worth the degree." The sheer venom in that message is proof that he never truly cared about my growth. He only cared about his own comfort and his boring family's approval. He destroyed my career out of pure spite because I wouldn't let him control my Saturday nights. The irony of this whole situation is that he's the one being manipulative by actually leaving and cutting off my resources. I was just trying to improve our relationship and see where we stood, and he responded by setting the whole thing on fire. It's so typical of men to act all logical, while they're making the most emotional, destructive decisions possible. He thinks he's free, but he's really just trapped in a life of beige casseroles and women who will never push him to be more than average. I'm the one who is actually free, even if I have to start over from scratch because of his pettiness. I'm currently staying on a friend's couch and trying to figure out my next move, but it's hard when your entire support system crumbles because of one feminine test. I still believe I was right to set those boundaries and ask for that security, because a relationship without standards isn't worth having. Liam just wasn't man enough to meet those standards, and now I'm the one paying the price for his inadequacy. It's a classic story of a woman's ambition being stifled by a man's fragile ego, and I'm just glad I can finally see him for who he really is. He didn't just stop paying for my degree, he stopped being a man the moment he chose his mother's birthday over my happiness. Men are truly the most fragile creatures on this planet.